So, if you haven't seen already, DICE recently announced the second weapon balancing project that will be coming to CTE very soon, which is the main topic for this video. Also, I just want to talk about some pretty major tweaks to attachments that hasn't officially been announced, but I do know it's currently in the pipeline. Also, I just want to point out none of these tweaks are actually in CTE just yet. But anyway, if you guys remember a while ago, we had the very first weapon and attachment balancing pass. So that means it's the second time this will happen. This time around, the main goals have better defined roles of primary weapons to clarify their differences in a number of areas, which sounds like maybe DICE want to increase the overall skill cap in the game when it comes to gunplay. Like for example, they want to bring back the whole 2-shot headshot kills. I'm guessing the headshot multiplier is going to be increased, which I totally agree with. I think that's a good start to raise the skill cap of the game and overall just to make headshots a little more meaningful. We can argue at the moment BF4 doesn't require the highest level of skill, but it seems like the whole 2-shot headshots will only be capable at the optimal ranges, which sounds like that's only for close range, but not entirely sure. According to the CTE Reddit page, the 2-hit kill will vary from weapon to weapon and won't be available to all guns. That kind of leads me towards maybe weapons that have a low close range damage like the JS2 PDW. Even with a higher headshot multiplier, it still won't be a 2-shot kill in close range, which I think is okay for balancing reasons. If all weapons had the ability to do a 2-hit kill within 11 meters or so, it might kind of screw up with weapon balance quite a lot. Which brings me to the next topic. I was a little bit confused about this image, though it's being named as the new damage model. As we can see, it looks like it's a kind of 3-stage model. It looks like weapons will be most effective at close range or within that red zone, so I'm assuming that's where all the damage will be. Then the middle orangey yellow fall off zone will be when damage starts to fall off, then proceeds into the bluish type zone where damage will be at the minimum, but notice how suppression will start to kick in. And this is a pretty big change here. It looks like suppression will only take place in this blue zone and onwards. I'm not entirely sure of the exact distance, but I'm guessing maybe this blue zone is about 40 meters away. And this looks about right because there was mention that suppression will not affect the optimal range and that it will only affect the fall off ranges and beyond, which like I said, I'm guessing is this blue zone. So far, honestly, I'm okay with this. I do think suppression needs some tweaks, and you might be wondering with this new damage model, what will it achieve? It sounds like it's going to be more or less a tool to reposition yourself in combat. I don't know if the average player is going to think like that, but we'll see what happens in CTE. There's also some other proposed tweaks to quote, reducing the impact of high rate of fire and keep both high and low rate of fire viable choices respectively. Honestly, I'm not too sure what that means by reducing the impact of high rate of fire. Does that mean high rate of fire weapons will have less damage? I'm not entirely sure. There's also mention of clarifying bullet spread impacts and recoil and improving first-person tracer effects, sniper vapor trails, bullet impact effects, and sounds, which all sounds really interesting. Looking forward to what they have in mind. Pretty exciting stuff. Also, one last thing, DICE want to make shotguns behave more consistent, which I think most of us know by now. Shotguns can be somewhat inconsistent at times. So let's move on to attachments. Firstly, I want to say nothing is set in stone, and I want to thank MarbleDuck for presenting this info. His channel is linked in the description. I do recommend to check him out. He does post a lot of good info. But it looks like all grips in the game will receive a slight nerf in the form of slower spread decrease, which means it will take longer for the spread of your bullets to reset if you have a grip attached, which I know sounds like a nerf, but when we do the math, it will only take an additional 50 milliseconds or so for the spread to reset compared to normal, which makes me wonder what's the point of changing it anyway. It doesn't seem like it will dramatically change gameplay. In terms of stats, it looks like the grips are going from a 1.0 spread decrease multiplied to 0.66. So even though, like I said at the end, it will make hardly any difference, but I think DICE wants to move away from the whole using any kind of grip is a no-brainer versus using a weapon at stock, which I don't understand why, but like I said, we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks on CTE. This might never see the light of day. The stubby grip and the angle grip will also get some tweaks. The angle grip normally reduces your first shot recoil by 33%. It's been changed to 20%. So in terms of its stats, its multiplier has gone from 0.67 to 0.80. which is a fairly big nerf. I was trying to understand the justification, and it seems like they just want to reduce its effectiveness, because when an attachment is equally viable on a slow rate of fire weapon versus a high rate of fire weapon like the AEK, even though those are two completely different weapons, it doesn't exactly make sense, which to be honest I disagree with, but it sounds like this tweak will just be a trial to see how it affects gameplay. I don't see why the angle grip needs to be changed. Maybe we're going to see some pretty drastic weapon tweaks soon, and maybe these tweaks to the grips will make sense in time, but at the moment it doesn't really make sense to me. And the stubby grip has actually been buffed, believe it or not. Its spread increase per shot multiplier is going from 0.85 to 0.80. So it will reduce spread increase per shot by 20% up from 15%, which even though it's only 5% extra, it's still a nice increase. I hope the ergo and vertical grip kind of see similar tweaks to its multipliers as well, or else the stubby grip is going to be even more of a go-to attachment for a lot of weapons. But overall, I know this is some fairly major tweaks, but honestly, I just think DICE should leave attachments alone. I don't know if you guys will agree with me or not. Maybe you think some attachments need a slight nerf here or there, but I just think, seeing as we're going into another weapon balancing pass on CTE, that's probably going to change quite a lot. Is it a good idea to also change attachments as well? I've always thought they were well balanced. I can't say for hardline though, attachments in that game are pretty damn powerful, but that's another topic for another video. So there you go guys, make sure to leave your comments down below. Tell me, what do you think of all this? If you have any good suggestions when it comes to weapon balance or even attachments, make sure to leave your feedback on the CTE Reddit page, or you can just leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.